still got charged. I still got charged by the OSPCA. And I said to him, was the OSPCA there? And he said, no, they weren't. The OSPCA wasn't there. What he found out happened was that the OMAFRA inspector contacted, somehow, I'm not exactly sure how, but contacted the OSPCA. They came to his house, the OSPCA, they questioned his wife, the OMAFRA and maybe the CFIA produced photos of these pigs. He informed me that when they took the pigs off of his truck, they slaughtered them right there, basically, on the concrete, on the cement. He left. He wishes he hadn't left now, but he left, and when they produced photos for him, the OSPCA, I believe it was, or OMAFRA, produced photos later, he couldn't believe the way those pigs looked. They were, after they'd been butchered, they were bloody. It looked like somebody was standing with their boot on one of the bellies, making the hernia stick out further. He called me and he said, this is absolutely not right. He said, I'm a farmer, I'm a good farmer, I care for my animals, I care for my industry, this is my living, this is my reputation. What's been done to me is wrong. He said, what can we do about it? And I said, John, leave it with me. Let me get back to you. And what we did, and I'm very, very proud of this actually, is this past January, we held a town hall meeting in my area, in the town of Brussels, and we held a meeting on the OSPCA. And basically the meeting was an invitation to industry within the farming community. It was a call out to the media, it was a call out to farmers, it was a call out to the public, it was a call out to animal breeders. And we wanted to bring the attention of the OSPCA having police powers without accountability, without transparency, and without oversight. And we wanted to bring this attention to the animal breeding and farming community and their representative groups so that they would understand what was happening to the individual farmers, be they Amish, be they, a pig farmer, and everywhere in between. That an organization in the Ontario Society for the Prevention of Cruelty to Animals was actually going in to obtaining warrants under who knows what. Because if they didn't lay charges, my question and everybody's question in Huron and Perth counties is, how the heck did they get the warrant? If they had reasonable grounds to suspect that there was cruelty being done to these animals, surely out of 16 warrants, they would have found a few, right? But for them to fall completely short, we want to know, how did they get those warrants? But this town hall meeting that we had was hugely successful. There was about 300 people there from all over Ontario. Industry, farm group organizations, animal breeder group organizations, and we had a panel of people, including Mr. Jack McLaren there, who was one of our panelists. But we had this farmer come and tell his story in front of 300 people, in front of media, television cameras, huge press from this. And we had his veterinarian there speaking. We had a lawyer there speaking. We had, as I said, Jack. We had a former director of the OSPCA, the provincial OSPCA. And we had the president of the OLA, Tom Black, speaking. So all of these gentlemen that were on this panel told a story of authoritative abuse, told the story to the group of how this organization, this private charity, has police powers that are impacting the rights of farmers and animal breeders across Ontario by using that authority without oversight, without accountability. So they have police powers that go beyond what the police have, essentially. And they're able to obtain warrants that I don't think our OPP officers would be successful in getting. That's my opinion, but it has to be questioned.
Oh, by the way, Cindy,
Yes.
let me enlighten you on what's happening out there.
Sure.
Have you ever followed up on this stuff like those dogs up there at Amish country? Where they went?
Sorry?
Have you followed up where those dogs went when they took them?
Where the dogs went when they
Where
took
the
them?
dogs went?
No.
Okay, for all you people here, especially politicians, there is nothing but a racket going on with OSPCA. There's 2 of them dogs right over here at Wellingport. This woman works for the Hamilton, OSPCA. You count that, you guys? What she's got is a pet shop at her house. She's selling all kinds of stuff like parrots and all this different exotic stuff. Okay, where do you just pick up parrots? How many people can be doing damage to parrots? 2 of them dogs from Amish country is at her place. Her husband is trying to peddle them to the different shops where he goes as a salesman. This is where these animals are. And it's time the Ontario government got off their ass and done something about it. It's as simple as that. It's a racket. All this stuff is nothing more than extortion. They go in, they take the animals, they find the people. Okay? That's true too. Because right here in Wellingport, check her out. She works for the Hamilton OSPCA.
Thank you. Yes, I agree with you. It is a racket. And we were successful at this town hall meeting in basically demonstrating that loud and clear. And as a result, the cattle producers, the pork producers passed a resolution that, of Ontario, okay, not just in Huron-Firth, but of Ontario, passed resolutions with the recommendations that came out of that town hall meeting. In addition, the OFA went to the ministry and lobbied them to adopt the same recommendations that we made coming out of the town hall meeting, and that was that they have oversight, accountability, that they take away their police powers. So a landowner organization, a small new landowner organization, was successful in drawing attention publicly throughout the province, and specifically to the farming organization, was successful in drawing attention to a major problem, to a racket. Thank you, sir, I like that word. To a racket that was happening in rural Ontario and affecting the farm community massively. So those are just a couple of the things that our landowner organization, being new, has been sort of thrown into. There's many more, but I won't get into those tonight. Bob's also asked me to talk to you a bit about land patent grants. One of the things that I do for the OLA is I'm a researcher for the OLA. I like to read law in my spare time. I'm not a lawyer, but I do like to research and study law, self-study law. And one of the things that really caught my attention about the landowner organization was they've drawn attention to an instrument, and you're right, it is an instrument, called a land patent grant. And some of you may have heard about it. Some of you may have your land patent grants. I have mine. And your land patent grant, as Bob says, is an instrument, but it's more than that. It's actually a covenant between the original landowners, a covenant, or I'll say an agreement. It's an agreement, covenant, between the original landowners and the Crown, her. Okay? It's an agreement that passes on through heirs and assigns. And if you're not an heir, you're an assign to a property if you've purchased it. And that agreement, or that covenant, stated what the terms were. And if any of you have entered into any agreements and contracts in your life, which I'm sure every single person in this room has, an agreement that's between two parties, so the original landowner and the Crown is binding. And in those land patents, it states what the Crown reserved to itself, what the Crown kept for itself, if anything. Usually it was things like water rights, so waterway accessibility for the public, or it could be trees. A lot of forestry was happening at the time, timber. It could be mining. For example, gold and silver was basically the two biggies at the time. Or it could be any other stipulation that the Crown had. So this agreement or this covenant between the Crown and the original landowners passes on to assigns or heirs. And as I said, if you own a piece of property today, you are an assign. So whatever that covenant or agreement was originally with the Crown passes on to you and to me to this day. So the Landowners Association asserts, and I'm in agreement with it, that that covenant with the Crown and myself as an assigned today still stands. And what the terms of that covenant / agreement with the Crown that stood in my property, in terms of my property over 160 years ago, is relevant today as it was back then. But the thing about rights, and this is something for those of you who are with the Landowners Association know, and those of you who may not be with the Landowners Association yet, one of the things that you will learn very quickly is that your rights aren't automatic. If you want your rights, which are essentially benefits, that's what a right is, it's a benefit, okay? If you want your benefits, okay, it's like when you go to Costco or when you go to any other place and you say, I want my 10% off. I want my club membership benefit. You have to assert it. You have to be willing to stand on it. You have to be willing to fight for it. And you have to be willing to do what needs to be done, including standing up and being accountable. So landowners across Ontario, although Bob said it's not a silver bullet, it's a covenant, it's an agreement. And as a Canadian and as someone whose family fought in a number of world wars for this country, one of the things that we hold dear is our system of law, is our rule of law. And that's what my family fought for, and that's what I stand behind and believe in. And an agreement, a covenant, a contract, a handshake with another Canadian is binding, and it comes down to what's honorable and right. And in my family, in my community, a covenant and an agreement is to be upheld by the Crown as much as it is between myself and anyone else I'm making the agreement with. And if we want that, then we have to be willing to fight for it. Thank you very much.
That's, you echoed my sentiments exactly with your last few remarks, Cindy. Our military has fought and died for the freedoms that we enjoy in this country. I get emotional about that. It's our responsibility to look after them. Here, they go overseas and fight for us. It's our responsibility to look after them here. So we're going to take I'm going to tell a little story here, and then we can take a break, and then we'll get Jack McLaren up to